Pressed for time or confident your daily workout is enough. Discover why more people are embracing movement snacking, where small, frequent bursts of activity become powerful medicine. Stay tuned as we reveal how these strategic moments of motion can transform your well-being. So I'm here today to provide that with you with the WellWaveNOW group. WellWaveNOW is comprised of Breck Rice, who's also known as the healthcare disruptor and carries a lot of medicational facts around help people. He's a champion of community wellness through his Brim Wellness Company. And then Dr. Bob Levine, who is a renowned brain researcher, who also specializes in the elimination of pain without drugs. And I'm Tim Daniels, and I am your wellness plan manager. Think of that as a general contractor for your health, helping you customize your health and deliver what you need short-term and long-term for that. And so today, we're going to take you through that movement snacking and how that applies as part of our series for exercise as health and as medicine. I want to kind of take you through what movement snacking is and how it's defined. So one, if you think of a snack in general, right, it's a little tidbit of information that can usually, if it's a healthy snack, meant to nourish you, and that for food wise. And that is what is a movement snack. It's a little tidbit, a little burst of movement done periodically that's going to help improve your health tremendously and help maintain your health tremendously. If I want to contrast it, contrast a little bit with traditional exercise. It's not something you've got to plan out, that you've got to do for an hour, you've got to set aside or have special clothing, equipment, things of that nature. What it is just a brief spurt that you can work in throughout your day to improve your health. And why do we want to do that? Our bodies are meant to move, and so more and more in modern society, in advanced societies, that you've got a sedentary lifestyle we keep hearing about, and that's we're sitting here in front of Zoom right now, sitting at your desk in your office quite a bit, and that work counter to your health. So it's how do you give your body what you need for that health in terms of movement, what those snacks are, okay? And what one wants to do is to break up that sedentary lifestyle is you want to list snack wise is you want to be able to move every 30 to 60 minutes, and you want to do that for 1 to 3 minutes, and we'll take you through more of that. But that's what a snack is. A movement snack, brief burst, worked in throughout your day to counteract the sedentary lifestyle, to use exercise as medicine for prevention and for healing and for maintenance, and done on that good for periodic basis throughout that. So what we want to do, dive a little bit more into that. I don't want to steal Breck's thunder. I want to have him go on and talk some more about really what are the benefits of this movement snacking. And to any of our audience that can and wants to, if you want to pose any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat at any time. If you're on Zoom with us here, go ahead and come off that. If you're on mute, go ahead and come off mute and just hold your hand up and say, I've got a question for you. Make this as interactive as possible and try and address your questions as we go through that. We do always leave time at the end. We ask you to schedule 30 minutes here with us, but we stay on for up to an extra 30 minutes after that if you've got some questions you'd rather pose after just hearing us pontificate and interact for a while. So Breck, right to you.
Yeah, let me cover some of the list of physical benefits that come from these little exercise snacks and getting up and getting moving. And the first step is actually getting moving, right? To do something. I was teasing about it to Tim earlier when we were going over the agenda, that it's convenient that my office is upstairs and the kitchen is downstairs, because then that means I get to do the stairs quite a bit to go grab my healthy snacks, and I tend to jog up and down them, which is good. So it's those small bursts of energy. So some of those physical benefits: improving cardiovascular health, increasing your metabolism, burning fat, increasing your metabolism. And then enhancing muscle strength and tone, better flexibility and balance, boost immune system, improve insulin sensitivity is really important, and increase bone density. That's what I have on my list, Tim, for physical, and have also another list for the mental benefits too when you're ready.
Yeah, go right ahead with them. Bob, you got anything you wanna chip in before we move on? This is, well, I'll even prompt you a little bit. This is the time for your insulin and blood sugar type of steadiness too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, here, pardon all the background noise. There's a lot of kids in the gate here. I'm actually doing a movement snack right now. As you can see, I'm walking around and I'm enjoying it very much. And it's really helping me burn calories and maintain my blood sugar level at a constant state. So I'm not going to say too much about that, Tim. I'm just going to say I'm doing my movement snack here and I'm just going to continue it while you guys keep going.
All right. Good.
Okay. Excellent. I'll move forward then with some of the excellent mental benefits that you get from these movement snacks, reducing stress and anxiety, improving mood and emotion. Your emotions are improved, enhances cognitive function and focus. Better sleep quality too is one of the benefits, and then increasing self-esteem. If you feel better, you look better, your self-esteem is improved, and improves your creativity, even problem solving, reducing symptoms of depression, and just any little short burst of energy and exercise. And so I hope, Tim, we're going to go into maybe some examples so that people understand what we're talking about, because
So,
there's a whole routine, right, for what you could do first thing in the morning when you get going in the day.
first thing I want to interrupt briefly, because I think it's important to discuss what a burst really is. Because some people think a burst like you got to go out and run a 100-yard dash or something. So maybe you guys could clarify that.
Yeah. So a good point, Bob. So a burst in this context is just 1 to 3 minutes, and it doesn't have to be rapid. It doesn't have to overtax yourself. It could be like when Breck was talking about going going up and down the stairs for his snacks. You can take those slow, you can take those fast, you can do it. It can be, we have some examples we're talking about, but it could just be standing up and taking a little stretch break, walking around the office if you're in our office, or like Bob at the airport, instead of sitting there at the gate for 2 hours waiting, get up and move around a little bit. So it's just a 1 to 3 minute activity burst. Does not have to be, in this context, intensive exercise. That's part of the way it differs from formal exercise in that nature, is that way. And then to your point, Brett, before we moved on, I do want to say that stress, we often think of stress just as and I think you're right to put it in the mental context, but stress has some physical ramifications to us. And that's one of the wellness snacks I did. You take a look, talks about that. Stress can produce cortisol. Cortisol, is a chemical that has influence on the body. Stress can cause you to have can cause a high blood pressure, can take you down that poor path cardiovascularly. There's a new, I think that might be a new word, Brett, cardiovascular lead, that adverb of that. But
There you go, Tim. Always inventing new words. I love it.
well, one of my favorite people was G.W. Bush. Think about how we now have that word decider in vocabulary. So in English, unlike Latin, is a live language, and I just like to make it be alive and keep it flowing there. But yeah, so stress isn't just something to tough out, because it can have not only a cognitive impact on you, but a physical impact on you, and that's part of what these movement stacks, as Breck's talked to, can address. So, and just like just some of the things you do in this nature, to example, Breck, like we're sitting now. You can do even the little, I think it's the little isometric. You press the hands together, put your hands on the inside of your knees and pull them together and stretch out. So that helps. It's getting up, stretch and touch your toe. Touch your toes, walk around a little bit. That's just as 1 to 3 minutes of a little walking, a little stretching, a little isometrics. Any of those qualifies as examples. You may have some more you want to bring into that.
Well, ever since Dr. Bob did a little instruction on how to lower your blood pressure by making sure you're properly pumping your calves when you walk, just simply going out for a walk, but making sure that you're getting that pumping action to get the blood to recirculate back up to your heart. I'll do that sitting at my desk all the time. I'll be pumping those calves just while I'm sitting at my desk. So that's another one. First thing in the morning, it's kind of hard to get going, and so you want to make sure that you're getting the blood flowing. The other thing that's really important is getting enough oxygen. You've been in a sleeping state. Hopefully you've gotten into some deep REM and really relaxed and got some good sleep. So you need to reoxygenate, get more oxygen into your blood. And so some really good deep breaths between 3 and 5, really full deep breaths. Even get into the practice of holding it for just a second before releasing, and then slowly releasing the breath out to regenerate the oxygen in your body. And then you can start with just some stretches, some jumping jacks. I've even seen the suggestion. I know you're not a big fan of yoga, Tim, but the suggestion of doing, having I think it's called a summer sequence or something like that of yoga poses.
Mhm. That's hey, to each his. I'm learning from Dr. Bob. Bob has. I love it that he can't come in as much right now. He's being very cordial. Can't do it.
Well, actually, Tim, here I am, buddy. What I
So,
want to say, what I just want to do, I do want to say something, Tim.
well, no, let me finish. I'm giving you kudos
Okay,
this time. But it's like
okay.
Dr. Bob a few sessions ago when we were talking about detoxing the body, and I said, no, don't go for this stuff where you put your feet in there and it changes color. Bob said, try if it makes you feel good, go ahead and do it. So that's what I've evolved to on yoga, Breck. If you want to try and it makes you feel good, okay. But I think there's a better way. But so go ahead, Bob, then I'll keep my thought.
Well, so people are spending a lot of time sitting down at their desks. What's really important is for at least once every 30 minutes to stand up slowly and unlock the pelvis, get the hip, stand up straight, and then take a brief walk. You're talking 30 seconds. It's not a big deal, but it's really important over the course of the day to make sure your pelvis does not stay in that locked position sitting down, because that's really detrimental in the long run. Day after day, week after week, month after month, it has a really deleterious or poor effect on body structure. So that's one thing I want to bring up. Unlocking the pelvis through standing up if you spend a lot of time sitting down. Thank you, Tim.
That's all right. Don't sign off yet, Bob. I appreciate it. Yeah, because it relates talk a little bit. One thing we didn't talk about is how these type of snacks and these things are good for posture as well. And what it kicked off in mine, you often talk about the proper way to move, the mechanics, which I think is also in the unlocking the hips related to posture. What would you have to say about snacks and posture maintenance, or the importance of it and things like that?
Well, certainly what I just said about unlocking the pelvis, that's really important. And then, of course, proper walking, as Breck brought up, is really vital. So, the key phrase is rolling up on the ball of the back foot before the front heel touches. If somebody can roll up on the back of the ball of the back foot before the front heel touches, they actually have the calf pumping action occur. And so that's all that's needed. Now, when you first try that, it's really tricky because, people feel a little bit like movement disorientation because it's challenging to do it first. So those are the two things that I think are really vitally important when somebody's going to do a movement stack who's sitting down all day long. Stand up, slowly stand up upright. As Breck says, take a breath or two, which is really good. Take an assessment of where your body is and what your body posture is like, and then go for a short walk. I mean, I'm talking walking 10, 20 steps, doing it properly, and then come back and sit back down again. Again, sitting down slowly, and make sure your monitor is, at the right eye level and not looking down at the monitor, and make sure that your keyboard is in the right position and your mouses as well. So there's a lot to do with ergonomics in the sitting position, but that's something that people can, we can cover that another time.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. And so, but what Bob did bring up and what Breck alluded to It's a couple things here. We don't always give you the how-to. We gave you a little bit of the how-to now, but that how-to is important as well, not just the what. And maybe do your research on your own, because you can damage yourself stretching wrong. You can damage yourself walking wrong. So while we give you these things to do spend a little bit of time of understanding what's proper for it, and also as part of this, tailor it to you, customize. You got to customize it to yourself. Someone who is like Breck, who's run, what was it, 24 marathons and stays very active, they can do a few different things in their movement snacking. If it's Dr. Bob, who hasn't played football in 60 years, then you gotta approach that movement stacking a little differently.
Tim, I love the way you exaggerate. That's good.
I appreciate that. What I will say now, I'm going to, Breck, you jump back in when you want to this one. One thing I want to mention, we did say some of the things you can do for movement snacking. One of the things that's often overlooked, especially in the evenings, or if you work from home and you've got flex time. I contrast that with my wife, who I said she's got a rigid schedule, so I always tease her about I'm on flex time. It's household chores.
Yeah.
Household chores are movement. Using we're running the vacuum. Do that 5 minutes. That's movement. You take as opposed if you just had lunch, as opposed to sticking the dish in the dishwasher. Go ahead and wash that dish and wash out the glass. That is movement. That's movement snacking. That will help you maintain that metabolism. And while you're standing to do it, work the posture, the muscles. So all that's good from a movement standpoint.
That's fantastic, Tim. And I really like the way you described that. I'm actually going to bring you to my house so you can demonstrate and coach me on how to do that. How's that?
Yeah, I was going to mention, when the Fitbits first came out, and you could have link family members together and friends together and kind of see people getting their movements or their steps in place. And my wife was constantly beating me, and I couldn't understand. I know I'm just as active as she is. It was the motioning of vacuuming. She loves to have the perfect lines in the rug, and so when she's vacuuming, she was getting those steps in. And then there was one person that was constantly like twice as many steps as everyone else in the little challenge we were doing. And come to find out, they like to dance around the house when they're doing their chores. And that dancing movement literally was increasing the number of steps and heart rate from the data that was being collected from Fitbit.
Outstanding. Hey, so as long as we're talking about like vacuuming and doing the dishes, most people, I want to just discuss posture just a moment here when somebody's snacking, doing these movement routines, because anytime we're bending at the waist, bending forward to reach for something, pushing the vacuum, we bend forward, washing dishes, we bend forward. It's really important to bend at the waist and flex the abdominal muscles when you do that. That's all.
Okay. Okay, Breck, you talked about the Fitbits. I know you're a technologist too. My technology days from the career run along behind me. But what other type of technology would you advocate or have people consider to work in to help them with their the movement snacking, incorporating that into their life?
Yeah, I mean, a very popular wearable would be your smartwatches. So it doesn't have to be an Apple, although that's what I use, and has some really good data analytics on that. Also can track your sleep and monitor how well you're resting at night. But there's any kind of wearable that's a smartwatch type of device will give you a lot of data, and then you can track that. You can bring that up on your computer and kind of track from one day to the next. There's some real benefit to kind of having that 10,000 step challenge that has kind of become popular with wearable devices, and closing rings that you got enough movement or enough standing time, or mine even tracks how quickly I do the stairs up and down the stairs. Tells me how fast I do the stairs in our home.
Can you put, so I think, one thing in terms of the analytics, as we used to say in my old corporate days, right? If something doesn't change we've got a very good business coach on with us right now, old friend of mine. I won't call him out by name here. Be interesting if he comments on this one as well about measurements. But we used to say nothing improves unless you measure it, or you can't really know how to improve until you measure it. So I think that sort of analytics you talk about gives you that ability to track. I wouldn't get obsessive about it, but to be able in this instance to track it and prompt and see, are you improving, are you moving? Question I have for you, because I don't use one of those. Can you set up prompts for yourself, alarms to prompt you to move?
Yeah, and some are already built in, right? The most popular one that I thought was really silly when I first saw it pop up was that it's time to stand. That's the reminder that everyone gets on their smart device on the Apple Watch. In fact, it must coincide with other people's watches that goes off kind of at the same time when they do those push notifications. And I'm sitting at a restaurant in Boston, and that goes off, and I had my arm kind of on the back of the chair, and a lady at the table next to me taps me on the shoulder and tells me it's time to stand. And so she had gotten the same reminder and then noticed that it had gone off on my watch. But yeah, you could set those up, and then there are actual apps. So you can go out in the App Store and look up things like MyFitnessPal, and there's a whole list of apps. We can put some of those in the show notes.
Right, great. And, part of the reason I brought that up is, from my perspective, when I work with people on helping them achieve their optimal wellness, is they've got to really find a way to make this a way of well-being, to develop that habit and make it easy for themselves in one extent. I hesitate on that. They got to have a commitment to it. So part of it is so when you look at this and say, all right, this all sounds good. I like the concept of movement stacking. I like the fact that it's an easy way to help me maintain my cardiovascular health. We talked about preventing that insulin resistance. So stay away from the diabetes, stay away from adding the fat, and fat in and of itself can have a lot of problems. I think I won't say which color fat it is because it's escaping me right now, but we all know that one of the fats actually talk to you and produce bad things for your body that damage it. So you keep that away from it. This helps with the cardiovascular helps. It helps maintain that posture so that you don't have weaken the back muscles. I want to thank one of our guests for attending there. He said he has the sign off there. So keep it from weakening the back muscles. And that's another thing I have. I just did and put up and posted on our site that you referred to. I did a thing on cracking the back pain code, and one of the back pain problems is when you have your postures, when your muscles weaken, and that comes from not maintaining the right posture and not doing enough of the movement and exercise. These movement stats can help avoid that. But number one, and getting that all worked into, you got to have the right mentality to say, I want to be a person who moves. I will be a person that moves, and do that kind of auto suggestion to yourself so that you get in that mode. Then number two, it becomes, I've got for a while, until it becomes a way of being, I've got to schedule it. So the watches can help schedule. I got to actually have little timers on my phone when to prompt me, and I can actually put it on the calendar that says move. If I've got a number of I used to do this. I think I've got a well-being now. It's part of being, but I now recommend this for clients. So if you've got your calendar and you've got it on the screen and you set meetings up there, well, build in a little prompt that says stretch break. Then you get alerts from your calendar as well, and you can get up and do it.
Yeah,
so
daily planners, daily journals. Yeah, those are all great things, and it can just go right into your calendar and actually plan for that time is great. That was actually my next point, Tim. So really great.
Sorry, Brett, go ahead.
No, that's all right. No, the daily planning of it. So if it's like you need to track things to know that where you're at and what you've done and what you've accomplished. And the same thing is you've got to carve out those times because it's really easy to get busy and go back to back in meetings, or even if you have downtime, it's pretty easy to just to kick back and relax. But that's a great time to get up and get moving. The other really easy thing to do is if you still commute to an office, if you park a little further away than the door, right? Also protects your car from getting dinged by being in the mass of everyone else's parking. If you have the opportunity to take stairs, take the stairs instead of the elevator. If you're using public transit, one really fun tip is get off at the exit before or get off at the stop before your stop, right? And then walk that brisk walk that last leg to your place of work. So just planning ahead and then giving yourself enough time to fit in those little exercise snacks.
All right, beautiful. Anything else you want to add in that regard?
No, I mean, we can list and certainly provide them in the show notes. I know we're getting low on time right now, but we can provide in the show notes some other suggestions and ideas of just adding into your daily routine. But I love the idea of actually calendaring it. Put it in there so you get a pop-up reminder. And if you have a shared calendar like mine where other people can busy up your day and schedule meetings for you, it's good to carve out and have that blocked out so that somebody doesn't schedule over the time that you were planning to do a little bit of stretching, walking, breathing, and getting in those healthy exercise snacks.
Right, and so to me, I just want to add that I would still encourage people, especially if they don't have a physical job, to have regular exercise as well, if possible. Why I say if possible, they may not be at the point where they can go lift weights for health-wise and movement-wise, mobility-wise, to go exercise for an hour, swim for an hour, or lift weights for an hour, or things of that nature. So therefore, you'll start with the movement snacks and build up to that. But also, limitation of the movement snack, if you want a lot of strength, so you should do something else in resistance training, and what the movement stats can do and complement is help you maintain that and not lose it. If you need a lot more cardiovascular health, then you've got to do.
What level of ChatGPT you have, right? Then we have templates.
So and just wanted to mute that person coming in there. And so if you movement stacks aren't going to get you necessarily to a high level of cardiovascular stuff, a high level of muscular development. But what they will do is they will complement those to help you maintain those. They can help you get to the point where you can do more and sustain more of that exercise on that. And it also will improve your recovery and promote the blood flow, so that you won't necessarily be sore after resistance training, and you can do more of it. And it'll give you a consistent level of energy and maintaining that throughout the day, and consistent level of mental clarity. So it's beautiful for balancing, for maintenance, and for getting yourself preventing decline, and also getting yourself to the point where you can do and complement and put in more of the regimented exercise as well.
Yeah. There's one other point that I did want to bring up, because sometimes we find ourselves, waiting in the bank line, or waiting at the post office line, or, just waiting somewhere, right, where we're standing. And you can do more than just stand. Even something as simple as just, it doesn't have to be like showy in front of everyone, but just kind of lift one foot up off the ground so that you're only balancing on one foot, and then switching back and forth. Just those balancing exercises while just standing in a waiting line will help not only with your balance and coordination, but it'll also help with your core strength because you're having to use those muscles in your core to keep from tipping over. All right.
All right, great. Yep, so that's a wrap, I think, for our commentary, Breck. And if someone would like to submit some questions or come off mute and ask some questions, feel free to do so.
I'm going to end the live on TikTok because it's hard to get their questions brought through and just focus on our audience here on Zoom.
Right. This is well. I'll go ahead and do that on Facebook as well. I'll come back to it.
Yeah, I miss questions when I keep it live. They chatted in the TikTok thread there, and it's hard to keep up with them because they go by too quickly. Had a good group though following on TikTok today. Tim, we had over 139 people that joined us there. So audience is growing there, and appreciate everybody that's participating here on the Zoom as well. But yeah, I'd love to open it up to anyone that might have any questions or comments or tips. What do you do? What are your movement snacks that you do? And might not even be very conscious of it. You may just do something already in your daily activity that, when you're waiting, that you, like me, when I'm on Zooms, I'm sitting here pumping my calves, and sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it just because now it's second nature.
Right. And I had one that may have missed I may have missed Dr. Bob when Bob was on, where they asked about what if I'm a frequent traveler and spend a lot of time at airports? What should I do? So I think it gets back to just what Bob was doing, right? Where you could take a time to walk around that you have on that you can, if you're not too embarrassed or don't be embarrassed, you could do some simple body weight exercises. There's nothing wrong with doing doing little half squats while you're waiting there as well. So that, that can help with that one.
Yep. Some lunges. I've seen, people in the airport stretching and doing types of lunges. The one, movement snack that is pretty popular, but probably not appropriate in public places would be like the shadow boxing, right? Somebody might take that as being aggression, but shadow boxing is great, at home and gets a lot of the upper body movement going.
Right. Someone might think they're a little off the rocker, or someone else might take it as a challenge and step right up.
Yeah.
I do remember in my younger days watching Muhammad Ali on TV, and right afterwards feeling like I needed to get up and do a little saddle boxing. So it helped tremendously.
Yeah.
And
we had a gentleman in our neighborhood that when he walked, he always swung his arms really high in the air when he was walking, and he was walking pretty briskly. And after I got to know him, I found out he's a cardiologist, and so he was getting that upper body movement, making sure that blood flow was circulating really well through his heart by moving his arms all the way up when he was walking. It looked a little interesting and funny, but hey, he was a cardiologist. I think he probably had a pretty good tip there.
There you go. Absolutely.
Tim?
Yes.
I have a question. I was curious as to what you could do in this snack or burst idea for bone density.
Okay, that would be, so the bone density to me becomes it's a couple things on that one. That's the body work resistance, especially for the leg bone density legs. Do a few squats, do a few lunges. The other thing that just for example, I was had a client, was working with that client's physician here recently, who was at the pre-osteoporosis stage. And that physician recommended go getting little 2-pound weights that could be strapped around the arms or forearms.
Uh-huh.
And so you don't have to use those 5 hours a day, but sure, when you get up and you do your little movement stacks, go ahead and have those weights and put them on and walk around with them. So that can help with the form as well. So it's the body weight exercises like squats, like lunges, a few things like that, as well as then get some light weights, but attach those to the arms, and that can help as well.
Hmm. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Yeah, and hopping up and down the stairs would also help with that.
Okay.
Me too. And just make sure you don't lose your balance.
For the Breck, now, I ran an in-home care agency for the elderly for 8 years. And when you mentioned that, I'm not thinking about I started thinking, would my 75, 80-year-old clients hopped up and down the stairs? So, but that's a good point as well. It's all the movement snack should be tailored to your personal situation, to your age, to your level of fitness and what you've got. And certainly if you're completely fit, hop up and down the stairs. If not, then walk. But that should also dictate how long your bursts are to start. You don't have to. More is not necessarily always better. In that case, too much more can put strain on the body, can cause injury to set you back. So it's do it at a pace that's appropriate for you and with the exercises that are appropriate for your level, and build from there if you can.
Yeah, I only mention that because of there's so many studies on like those little rebounders or the little mini trampolines getting that benefit from that bouncing motion and cell division and everything comes from that. But then also the impact also helps your bones have to be more tough to take that impact, and it goes back to something we covered on the first week with some of the centers that become pretty popular with the plates that you stand on that are vibrating and shaking, and that helps you build bone density as well.
Right. Then there's another question, but I think you kind of touched on earlier. Somebody said, what if you're a working parent at home with a child? What can you do? And one, I think you touched on it is dance. You said dance a little bit, dance with your kid, have a little fun there, and work that in periodically, as well as then when you can, if the kid set is occupied, go ahead and do a little housework, do a little movement that way, so that can work in.
Mm-hmm. You can do wall sits while you're folding clothes. You can, do different activities. And just, if you're a young parent, I remember needing to have be very good in upper body strength, because it seems like you're always carrying a kid around with you too.
Hey, that's right. If you piggyback rides, help if you are. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And that's all the questions I have coming through from various sources. The one thing in that light that reminded me of, so when we're talking the home environment, blessing I would like to comment on is, take advantage of, if you're watching TV, take advantage of the commercial breaks. That's the time you can go do a little wall sit. If it's got a little jingle on, I have to see what the scary drug facts guy says, but the little Jardians. There's a the little pill with a great story to tell. They've got a nice little jingle in there, and they're dancing. Get up and dance with them. So take advantage of the commercial.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's excellent. That's actually tip number 5 that'll be in the show notes, is what to do on commercial breaks.
Good. All right, so I want to thank you, Breck, for this session. Good. Thank our guests, and thank for the participation. We'll continue on with this series next week with something that I think is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and also the brain, because we're going to talk about how exercise can affect the brain, how you can rewire your brain for mental health and for cognitive performance and clarity, and how exercise really does help you do that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Tim. Thank you.